I need to buy a new hat, so that the hat I can't find will turn up. That is just how it works. Because when you think you have completely lost something, let's say you only have one hat, and you really need a hat because it's winter and it's really cold outside, and you really want a hat, and you can't find it anywhere. You've searched everywhere. Your entire apartment, if you have a car, you've searched that so many times. Maybe you've searched your workplace too, because like, wait, maybe I forgot it there. You've searched everywhere. You're just like, fuck, I must have lost it. You get a new one, and then it always turns up. Somewhere you've looked at least 3 times. Every time. Literally, just buy a new hat. It'll turn up, like the old one will turn up, but at least you have a hat now. Hello BabyQueers, and welcome back to my channel. It is time for some neurodivergent memes again. Because literally, I've told you before, I always have too many memes on my phone. And it just feels like as soon as I showed you, I can delete them, because then I've shared them with people. But you know the deal. Before we continue with the memes, you gotta get hydrated. Grab some water, or some tea, or whatever else you like to drink. And then we'll look at some more memes. Are you hydrated? Good, let's go. Any other neurodivergent people find that you underreact to things you're expected to have a big response to, like death, breakups, terrible news, etc., and overreact to things you're expected to not get upset about? Yes, constantly. Constantly. Just literally, like, the things that seem like dramatic or like cause big emotions in people don't seem to do that for me. Like when someone tells me that their dad has to get a surgery like the next day and that they're super worried about it, most people would like instantly also get worried. I kind of don't. Like logically I'm like, okay, you tell them that you wish them luck for it to go well, because you kind of do, but you don't have like a big reaction to it. But then if you lose the pen you always use, it seems like the end of the world within the span of 5 minutes. I would say I've gotten used to it, but sometimes it still kind of catches me off guard, even though I've always been like that. But I still kind of always expect me to react differently, but I'm just like, oh wait, no, we don't do that, do we? Oh well. ADHD people taking the 1,000th screenshot of something they won't look at again. Neat. This was quite literally me. It still happens, admittingly, but like a lot of memes, I screenshotted before I started this YouTube channel because I was like, oh my god, that's so funny. Well, I still technically have them saved on my hard drive and will never look at them again, but at least I don't have them on my phone anymore. Because I've shared them with you, so I can delete them now. I guess. Hard to swallow pills. There should have been a sense of achievement, but you were just relieved. Well, thank you. I know. I literally wish there was like a sense of accomplishment versus just feeling like slightly relieved that it's done. Because what usually happens is your mind immediately goes to all the things that aren't done yet. And then it's like, okay, cool, you got that thing done, but here's like a list of a million things you still need to do. Brain? Again, why do you like torturing us? Autistic self-diagnosis is valid. Agreed. I mean, after all, everyone's a little autistic. No. When I say that self-diagnosis is valid, I'm not saying that everyone's a little autistic. I'm talking about people who've done extensive research and found that they display many autistic traits. People who are seeking answers for why they are the way they are and finding them by listening to autistics tell their life stories. The saying, everyone's a little autistic, just minimizes the experience of all autistic people, diagnosed or not. This is still qualifies as a meme if it's not funny, because it's just the sad reality that people say weird stuff like this. But honestly, I don't really care if it counts as a meme or not. I had to include it because just this, and a lot of people who don't have an official diagnosis kind of get a lot of the imposter syndrome sometimes, and just kind of wonder if it's like okay that they self-diagnosed. But literally, it's not necessarily even accessible to a lot of people. A lot of doctors, if you bring it up as an adult, will be like, well, but like, why does it matter now? Like, you're an adult, like, you've got this far in life, and like, no one's noticed it before, which is rubbish. Because as soon as you start listing the traits, people are like, yeah, no, I noticed that about you, but it just, they don't think further than that. It's just like, yeah, no, I thought you were a bit quirky, you know, you're just a little bit different. You know, like, whatever, you only use the certain kind of spoon. I just thought you were kind of weird that way, you know, like, it's fine. Y'all, let's take the imposter syndrome, ball it up, and throw it at people. That's not how you throw a ball, but anyways, and throw it at people who say shit like, everyone's a little autistic. Okay? Laziness. You know, I'd rather sit here than pick up those clothes. Executive dysfunction. I need to pick up those clothes. I need to pick up those clothes. Why am I still watching this thing on Netflix while sitting down? Come on, stand up. I need to pick up those clothes. I need to pick up those clothes. I need to... Yeah, this is that. Because you're watching something, or you're like scrolling on your phone. You're not even like paying attention, really, to what you're watching or what you're doing. Because you might just like, okay, listen, go do the thing. Go do the thing. But your body doesn't move. And that's really difficult for people who don't experience it to understand. Because for them, if they have the thought of, oh, I need to pick up the clothes, and I need to do it now, because whatever, like, I've been meaning to do it and I just need to do it now, they get up and do it. So for them, the only moments they don't get up to do the thing is just because they're literally just feeling lazy in that moment. And they're just like, you know what, no, it's fine, like, I would rather just sit here and watch Netflix. I can still do the thing later. But they're not overthinking it, because then they focus back on what they're doing, like the show they're watching on the phone, and just chill, because, like, there's nothing wrong with that. But just coming for people and just automatically assuming they're just being lazy is where I have the issue. Yeah. When you've been thinking something cool, zone out and then try to recall what you were thinking about by connecting the dots through a chain of thoughts. Which is just as complicated as math, because the train of thought isn't necessarily a train of thought, because a lot of the time it makes sense. Like, to people from the outside, it seems like you're just jumping from topic to topic and it's not related at all. But sometimes it's really not connected, and it's just like, wait, because you heard a random noise and you suddenly had to think about something, but the noise isn't there anymore, so you can't recall why you jumped to another topic, and then you can't really go back. Sometimes it works, but usually it doesn't. At least for me. Yeah, sometimes people don't realize how much energy it takes to appear normal. And that's what I'm asking. Yeah. Because, like, a lot of us, like, even neurotypicals, mask to an extent. If they're, like, at work, they're gonna talk differently than they do when they're with their friends. Like, that's kind of normal. But the amount of energy it takes neurotypicals to just pay attention that they're talking formally is nothing compared to the energy it takes neurodivergent people to hide all of their traits and just focus on everything at once. Because you can't just say, oh, I have to, like, make sure I talk properly and, like, maybe not curse, you know. It's nowhere near the level of, okay, I have to make sure I make eye contact, and I have to make sure I don't fidget around too much to appear normal, and all these things, because you're just worried you're gonna get judged too hard otherwise, and you might get fired because it's like, oh no, that makes you unreliable somehow. Y'all, neurotypicals have no idea. Me, when someone is looking at me while I'm doing something. Yeah, I've gotten better somehow. There are just so many things I can't do when someone is around me. And it's not even because it's like embarrassing or anything. It's just because I can't do it. Like my brain won't let me do the thing when someone else is around. It's really weird. But like at work at least, I've gotten better at it, because I used to like not be able to like focus at all when someone's like sitting next to me because they're new and I have to teach them something. I'm getting better at it. That's the good thing. But in my private life, it's still, my god, maybe that's just because I'm burnt out from work and that's why I literally can't. But who knows? ADHD is telling yourself multiple times, hey, don't forget to do X, don't forget to do X. Right after this, remember you have to do X. I know you can't stop what you're doing right now, but afterwards, don't forget to do X. And then you stop thinking about it for like 0.2 seconds and don't remember again until days later in the middle of some other task, and then you rinse and repeat. Yeah, the amount of times I'm walking somewhere and being like, you gotta vacuum, you gotta vacuum, you gotta vacuum, you gotta vacuum, you gotta vacuum. But then I'm like, oh wait, this item isn't supposed to be there, and I go to put it away. And then it's 3 days later and I still haven't vacuumed. Oh well. When the ADHD-induced emotional hurricane of irrational anger and rage settles and I come to my senses, I'm okay now. Listen. In a way, I'm probably just trying to be optimistic here, but in a way, I'm kind of glad that I've done my very best to repress my emotions most of my life and not talked to people at all, really, because otherwise, I think I would have constantly been yelling at people because people make me irrationally angry. And I've just been very good at hiding that because of it. Because I feel like now it does show on my face a lot, but it used to like not show at all outwardly. But yeah, things always seem so dramatic, end of the world. Logically, you maybe even like remember that you're not gonna feel that way in 5 minutes, but it doesn't matter. Your emotions are no, fuck that shit. We're upset. And then 5 minutes later, you've calmed down. It's just like, no, I'm okay now. Whoops. ADHDers, after drinking 2 cups of coffee in the morning, why is it still tired? Why is it tired? Why does caffeine not work? I have to. I'm still mad about this. I don't react to caffeine. And I thought that, well, maybe it's just because I've been drinking a lot of caffeine for quite a long time, really. I always drink a lot of coffee, usually every day. Like during the weekend, it was maybe only like 1 cup or 2 cups. During the week, don't even ask. But a while ago, I decided, hey, listen, I'm about to go on vacation, so I'm not at work and kind of drinking coffee to kind of get away and be able to clear my head. So we're just gonna try going without caffeine for a few weeks and then start drinking caffeine again to see if caffeine does anything then. Newsflash, I didn't drink coffee or energy or anything for 3 freaking weeks. I went back to drinking it and still didn't feel shit. Only now I can feel my heartbeat. Like my heartbeat increases, but I'm not more awake, which doesn't make sense. And it makes me angry. And I've been drinking coffee again for like 2 weeks now or something. It's still nothing. I don't feel anything from caffeine. And it's infuriating, actually. Thank you very much. Me. Keeps looking at ADHD memes to see what else I can relate to at 1:30 a.m. I don't need sleep. I need answers. I mean, we've all been there. We've all been there with ADHD memes, ADHD TikTok, or like neurodivergent stuff in general. Or special interests, if you're autistic. You've been there multiple times. Don't even pretend like you haven't. ADHD people trying to do anything that slightly triggers disinterest. I can't keep doing this forever. It's been 20 seconds. No, call it. I'm done. I've had it. Listen. I kind of wish sometimes, because you do have to do things that are just like boring sometimes, right? I really wish it wouldn't be so hard for us. I really wish it was just laziness, that some days I would just look at the task and be like, I really don't feel like doing it. I'm just not gonna do it, you know, because I choose not to do it, and not because I can't get my brain to do it. You know, that would be preferable, definitely. Okay, also not a meme, but we need to talk about it because neurotypicals are unhinged and don't get it, apparently. Sensory issues aren't about fear, they're causing physical pain. So I see a lot of people, mostly not actually autistic people, talking about sensory issues in terms of fear. They'll say things like, oh, he's afraid of the vacuum. This, of course, is incorrect. It's not that the person is afraid of the vacuum, it's that it's literally causing them pain. Like, literally, if you put an autistic person in an fMRI and expose them to one of their sensory issues, you will see their pain centers light up. So why is this a problem? Well, most people view fear as something that can be overcome, so they look down on people that let themselves be controlled by it, which isn't good. The other thing is that the tried and tested way to overcome fear is through exposure therapy. However, if the thing is pain and not fear, all you're going to do is numb yourself from the pain, which is generally not the best way to deal with things. So, if you're autistic, remember that your sensory issues are part of how your brain physically works, and you can't just will yourself out of them. If you're not autistic, don't dismiss people's sensory issues too flippantly. Remember, it's literally causing them pain. Yeah, because if you're just afraid of something, kind of making sure you work on that fear and kind of maybe expose yourself to it little by little to help yourself overcome that fear, kind of makes sense. It has to come from the person themselves. You can't just decide for other people, like, okay, it's time for you to overcome your fear of clowns, so I'm just gonna throw random clowns at you. That's not the way you do it. But if that person decides, hey, I want to overcome that fear because, like, rationally, they know it's not even something to be afraid of, and they decide that they want to overcome it, that's okay. That's cool. But forcing yourself to be in situations that are causing sensory issues for you isn't gonna actually make those sensory issues become less. So maybe instead of being a dickhead to autistic people, or generally people with sensory issues, maybe ask them if there's anything you can do to make the situation more sensory friendly. Like, maybe ask them if, or like offer, or like tell them that it's okay if they wear like earplugs to maybe block out some noise, or don't look at them weird if they wear sunglasses when it's not actually that sunny, because guess what, with sensory issues it's still gonna be bright as fuck. I wear sunglasses so often because my eyes literally hurt. I'm not even kidding. Like, I used to think I was overreacting because everyone was like, oh, it's not that bright, it's fine. I was like, oh yeah, no, sure, I must be overreacting if it's not that bright, right? Well, guess what? Do better, know better, and if you can, accommodate your sensory needs where you can, because exposure is not going to make it less. ADHDers that take on life without medication. Okay, first of all, with caffeine and anger, all things are possible, so jot that down. Kind of fair. Especially anger, and for me, especially like rage, or like anger towards other people. Like people telling you that you can't do certain things works wonders, because caffeine, it doesn't really work. I still don't know if it does actually help my brain focus or not, or if I'm just imagining that. It is possible I'm just imagining it, I don't know. But listen, I feel like I can focus better on caffeine. But as far as awake, or like being awake or becoming more awake goes, not really. Maybe at this point it's just like the act of drinking coffee that tells my brain that I have to focus? I'm not sure, really. Kind of, but not really. A daily calendar notification reminding me to do something. My ADHD brain. That notification won't stop me because I stopped looking at it. Which is why, if you have ADHD, kind of being able to change up your notification system, or like the tools you use to keep yourself like on track and doing things, like if you can change that from time to time to keep it new and exciting, then you should do it, definitely. I know it can be difficult, but just trying to find new ways that work and actually recognizing when it stopped working takes practice. It takes practice, but yeah, being aware of it helps. Autistic me after spending the entire day masking my autism. As in any autistic person who works, really. Having a job is difficult. We've been over this. Like, because neurotypicals have exhausting days at work, obviously. Like, no one's saying neurotypicals have it super easy. But still, there's like an added level that just kind of knocks you out at the end of the day if you have autism and have to mask that all day. Autistic me, when someone gives me verbal instructions, can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said about all of the things? Especially if you have auditory processing. Like, not only like not being able to remember what they're saying, but also if you're not even understanding what they're saying, because your sensory is just like, you know what, you hear them talking, but no. Please don't give me verbal instructions. Please don't. Reverse gaslighting, where I pretend to know exactly what you're talking about. Academic conferences, work meetings, interviews, auditory processing disorder. Yes. It's funny if you have auditory processing disorders and then you're in situations like work meetings. Because then you have two of the not knowing what's going on and having to pretend you know exactly what's going on, like, extra hard. Oh well. I'm really glad I don't have to do meetings a lot anymore. Like, in my old job, there were a lot of meetings, and just listening is really hard. Especially if you have someone, because there's like nothing more frustrating to my brain than someone who thinks out loud. Because then what happens is they repeat themselves. They keep repeating the same thing because, like, okay, that's how they think and that's how they come up with like new ideas. But then at that point they said the same thing like 3 times and I'm not listening anymore. Sorry about it. Them. Doing it that way won't work. ADHDers after it works. This is what I mean. Other people telling you can't do something or you can't do it that way is just gonna motivate me. Unless I know they're just saying it because they're trying to get me to think they think I can't do it. Like if someone's like, oh yeah, no, you can't do it, but you know they're just saying it because they know it works on you, then it doesn't work because I can see through that and it's just like, no. Same as like when someone's trying to make me mad. Like I had a vocal coach who was trying to get me angry because she thought it was like gonna pronounce my voice or something, but I could see through it. And then I was like not having a reaction at all. I was just like I know you're joking, I'm sorry, like it has to be real, you know. ADHD people at night getting worked up and motivated. I'm a fighter and not a quitter. ADHD people in the morning, I'm resigning. That's it. I've had it. But why are we like this? Listen, why are things easier to do at night when you should go to bed because you know you have to get up early next morning? I've slept way too little the entire week because I cannot fall asleep because I just can't. I always struggle with this, but this week, next level, I'm telling you. And then the next morning I just wake up and I was like, no, I'm gonna just quit and stay in bed. Oh my god. My brain recording information. A minute later. This is a blank piece of paper. Yeah, especially if it's like someone just giving you verbal instructions. You might remember some of it, but then a second later it's just like, wait, I don't remember anything. It's a blank page now. Can you like send me an email, because then I'll like see it. And even if I forget to do the thing, I'll still have the email there and remember to do the thing later. You know, don't just tell me stuff, come on. Okay, but if I don't hyperfixate, I'll get depressed and die. Runs out of hyperfixations. Oh god. Oh fuck. Lies in bed feeling empty and useless for 48 hours. Also, desperately digs through old hyperfixation. There must be something. Frantically picks up random new things and shakes them. Oh, come on. Trick of the habit chemicals. Shake, shake, shake. Literally the worst feeling ever. Like, if you switch from one hyperfixation to the next, it might still be sad because you don't care about thing A anymore at all, but you're also just way too consumed by thing B to really care. But then if it all runs out and you just pick up both of them and you just shake them, and you just like, you try to get your brain to react to it again, but your brain's just like, no. No. And then you just die of boredom and everything feels pointless. And we love that feeling, obviously. Okay, 10 years before I knew I had ADHD, I took Adderall at a music festival. My friends were all jacked up and dancing, but I was like, okay, it is suddenly manageable for me to sit calmly under this tree and reply to some text messages. Music festival, and you're just sitting under some tree. Trust me, everyone else thought you were goddamn high on something. Because no one does that at a music festival. So people knew you were definitely on something. Turns out, that's how normal people feel. It is a scam. It is so rubbish. Because I think, in a way, I'm kind of very used to how my brain works, and I'm kind of used to how difficult things are, because I've always been that way. But then if I take my medication, I usually get very angry at it, because then suddenly things are easier and I can do it. But I rarely take them because they're probably the wrong meds for me, because everything tastes different. Is that normal, that when you take ADHD meds everything starts to taste different? Because it's rubbish. I hate it, because then suddenly coffee doesn't taste good anymore. And then I get even more angry. You know? And to finish off, I know, not a neurodivergent meme, but again, I don't care. Because I feel like y'all probably need to hear this. Anxiety is like an onion. There's a stressor in the middle and layers of anxious thoughts around it. But if you start to peel back the layer of anxious thoughts, it's all my fault, the worst case is gonna happen. There's just a small stressor inside. Something didn't go exactly as planned. While you can't totally get rid of the onions, it's a lot easier to carry baby onions than big ones. A bunch of small stresses I'm handling. So remember to peel back the anxious thoughts and make your anxiety smaller. Because yeah, again, it's gotta take a lot of practice, and it's just not gonna happen overnight, and some days it's just gonna be a lot harder. And probably, if you're neurodivergent, it's also gonna be harder because your brain's literally just wired differently, and there's just so many things to be anxious about, and there's just so many things people have critiqued you about that you're doing wrong or that are weird about you, when in reality, just very normal for your neurotype. But people just like to ignore that and just be like, no, you're just weird, you have to do it differently. The way you do it, the way you are, is weird and wrong. If that's how people made you feel your entire life, you're gonna have a lot of onions to begin with, and you're also gonna have a lot of layers on those onions. And it's gonna take quite some work to start peeling it away and recognizing that sometimes people are just rubbish and people are rude and don't know anything about neurodivergence, really. A lot of them might not even care. But still, you don't want to make yourself more miserable than you have to be. So recognizing that what people say about you or that people think you're doing everything wrong doesn't mean you have to take that on and judge yourself for it, and then you can kind of start peeling away the layers. You know? Yeah. So anyways, that was all the memes and the wholesome or less wholesome comics. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you found them relatable, because if you're here watching a neurodivergent video, I'm kind of assuming you are neurodivergent. Yeah, or at least have friends that are and just want to understand them better. In that case, thank you for being here. Really, I love it when people try to educate themselves on it, because it's like, I don't get it because I'm not like that myself, but I want to understand this person in my life better because I care about them. So thank you if that's you. But honestly, if you're just here because you want to understand yourself better and just like, oh wait, that's why I do things, also fair. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you found this channel. I'm glad you found some relatable memes. And knowing that y'all are probably still dehydrated, another reminder to go drink the drink you may or may not have actually gotten at the beginning of this video. But either way, go get hydrated, maybe grab a snack, and I'll be back in 3 days with my next video.